We want to get to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic as we start this morning. Confirmed cases in this country have risen to nearly 995,000. Deaths have increased to nearly 57,000. And just overnight, a model often cited by the nation's top doctors raised the projected death toll to 74,000 by August, and warning the number can climb if states reopen too early, Hoda.
Even so, more states are moving ahead with plans to relax stay-at-home orders, including Texas and Ohio. Meantime, JetBlue has now become the first U.S. airline to require all passengers to wear face coverings. That new rule, by the way, takes effect next week, Savannah.
Our correspondents are spread out, covering all angles, and we'll start with NBC's Blaine Alexander in Georgia, where more businesses are being allowed to reopen now. Hi, Blaine. Good morning.
Well, Savannah, good morning to you. This area here around me is filled with small businesses, many that hadn't opened their doors in weeks. And now most owners tell me they're grateful to be back up and running. But not everybody believes that it's the right thing to do. And now it's a debate that we're seeing play out across the country as a growing number of states are lifting restrictions. From Montana and Oklahoma to Minnesota and Texas.
It's time to set a new course.
More and more states are reopening for business. Nationwide, 14 governors have started to lift restrictions, though none of the states have met the White House guideline of 2 weeks of steady decline in COVID-19 cases. That's not stopping eager shoppers in Mississippi.
I said I'll stay my distance, social distance, but I want to do a little shopping.
In Texas, the lights come on May 1st, starting with malls, movie theaters, and restaurants, but only at 25% occupancy.
We will put measures in place that will help businesses open while also containing the virus.
Tennessee restaurants in all but 6 counties can serve sit-down diners at half capacity. In Colorado, the stay-at-home requirement is now a recommendation, while in California, there's a local battle brewing over beaches.
We think all the beaches should be open.
With thousands flocking to the shores for a taste of the sun, the Newport City Council is now reconsidering the decision to open local beaches.
Those images are an example of what not to see. People, what not to do.
But not all states are back in business. In hard-hit Louisiana, the governor is extending the stay-at-home order, saying it's too early to reopen.
We just don't meet the criteria.
In Georgia, barbershops, salons, and dine-in restaurants, among others, are all free to operate despite widespread criticism from local leaders and even President Trump.
We're moving forward with data and information and decisions from the local public health officials, meeting and working within the guidelines of the great plan that the president has laid out.
The governor touted expanded testing and said Georgia ranks 36th in the nation per capita. Across the state, some restaurants are ready to serve.
I found it really much more comforting to sit down and eat.
But others say it's too soon, including Historic Pascal's restaurant. The owner says the best way to serve the community is to stay closed.
We want to make sure when we reopen our doors, our team is safe, our customers are safe.
And of course, another big question is, when will the schools reopen? Well, in a call with governors, President Trump said that some schools could consider reopening before the end of the academic year. Hoda?
All right, Blaine, thank you. Meantime, the Trump administration has revealed a new strategy to expand testing for the coronavirus, seen as a critical step toward reopening the country. But it's a plan that's already facing doubts. NBC's Kristen Welker is at the White House with this part of the story. Hey, Kristen, good morning.
Hi, Hoda. Good morning to you. This morning, the president, under bipartisan pressure to have a national testing strategy, has announced what he's calling a new blueprint for increasing testing. The White House says its role will be strategic direction and technical assistance, making it clear the ultimate burden still falls on the states. This morning, a new prescription for the shortage of coronavirus tests across the country. President Trump announcing late Monday the administration is preparing to ramp up its cooperation with states and private companies to make sure states have all the critical supplies they need, like swabs for testing. The goal, administration officials tell NBC News, is to boost testing to at least 2% of the population per state per month.
The testing is not going to be a problem at all. In fact, it's going to be one of the great assets that we have.
The White House cautioning the federal government should be viewed as a, quote, supplier of last resort. The president has previously said testing should be solely up to the states.
You know, we're not a shipping clerk.
Overnight, some Democrats pouncing. Washington State's Patty Murray, the top Democrat on the Senate Health Committee, calling the blueprint nothing new in a statement. It doesn't set specific numeric goals, offer a time frame, identify ways to fix our broken supply chain, or offer any details whatsoever on expanding lab capacity or activating needed manufacturing capacity. Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont also urging the federal government to follow through on its new promise.
I think they're catching up now, but seeing is believing.
So far, about 1.6% of the population has been tested, and most medical experts agree the number of diagnostic tests need to be significantly expanded before large parts of the country can start reopening. On Monday, Mr. Trump insisting the increase in testing will be enough to allow more states to reopen safely.
So we're deploying the full power and strength of the federal government to help states, cities, to help local government get this horrible plague over with and over with fast.
Now, the president was flanked there in the Rose Garden by major retailers from CVS to Walmart, who said they would also help ramp up testing. The administration promising that the U.S. will conduct at least 8 million tests a month by the end of May, which, if accomplished, would be a significant boost from where things stand today. Savannah?
Kristen Welker at the White House. Kristen, thank you. And now to this crisis for the country's struggling small businesses. Many businesses complaining of delays and errors yesterday when they tried to access that website to apply for the emergency loan program that reopened yesterday with more money. NBC's Tom Costello joins us with that story. Tom, good morning. What happened?
Yeah, good morning. So this is round two of the federal money after that first $350 billion that was all eaten up within 2 weeks. And some of that money actually went to public companies traded on the stock market rather than smaller companies that are just absolutely desperate for the help. Now, the second round, it's already stumbling out of the gate. This morning, millions of small businesses are still waiting for relief, as delays, technical glitches, and overwhelming demand caused the Small Business Administration's portal to crash within minutes of relaunching the new loan funding program.
I heard there was a glitch. We'll find out whether or not that's so.
The SBA revealing twice as many people tried to access the program on Monday than at any time during the first round of loans. The head of the American Bankers Association tweeting its members are frustrated and will not be able to help more struggling small businesses until the issues are resolved. Freshly funded with an additional $310 billion, the Paycheck Protection Program aims to provide loans for businesses with fewer than 500 employees, allowing employers to cover costs like payroll and rent. If owners meet certain conditions, the loan can be fully forgiven. So far, 1.6 million small businesses have received a piece of the pie. But millions more who qualify are still waiting, including May Veith, who owns 4 salons in Southern California.
We have to go to the bank and tell them we have to stop the automatic withdrawal. I don't have money anymore.
Adding to frustrations, big businesses that cut into the program's initial funds to the tune of $750 million. Among them, the LA Lakers, now announcing they will give back $4.6 million. One small business owner says that money should go to the little guys.
It really was sickening and disheartening to see all these big corporations in a money grab. We have to support small business. If we don't, we're not going to be here very much longer.
Still, with banks anticipating demand to continue outpacing funding, there are fears the $660 billion program will soon be tapped out once again.
Tom, I mean, you can just feel the frustration of these businesses, and for good reason. And obviously, time is of the essence here.
Yeah, this is economic life or death. 28 million small businesses are trying to survive the coronavirus. And listen to this stat. The SBA now says it has seen one business fail for good, closing permanently every single hour. Savannah?
The stakes are so high, Tom. Thank you very much. 7:12 now. I'll send it back to you, Hoda.
All right. Thanks, Savannah. We do have a lot more to get to, including mounting concern over a potential meat shortage with more than a dozen processing plants temporarily shut down amid the pandemic. NBC's Carrie Sanders is following that story and joins us from a cattle farm in Florida. Hey, Carrie, good morning.
Well, good morning. The Okeechobee stockyard here is among the busiest east of the Mississippi, but this morning there are fewer cows for sale because the supply chain that puts meat on our tables is under intense pressure. Coronavirus has shut down meat processors, which means there's now less beef, pork, and chicken headed to your local grocery store.
This morning, there are fears the nation's food supply chain is at a breaking point after more than a dozen major meat processing plants have become COVID-19 hotspots. The most recent plants to close in Logansport, Indiana, and Green Bay, Wisconsin, where 1 out of every 5 workers tested positive for coronavirus. At plants still open, there are staffing shortages, even pay raises and bonuses, not enough to lure some employees back to work. Crystal Rodriguez usually works alongside her father, but he now has coronavirus.
$4 extra and a $600 bonus. I'm sorry, but that's not worth my life.
Tyson Foods taking out a full-page ad Sunday, warning the food supply chain is vulnerable and closed plants could lead to shortages at grocery stores. The company also releasing this video of a redesigned chicken processing plant in Arkansas that it says allows for better social distancing. In Saginaw, Texas, third-generation rancher Missy Bonds worried closed plants means she won't be able to sell her cattle.
For us, we like consistency, and the volatility right now is the most unsettling thing.
The meat industry says beef and pork production is down about 30%. The Bartling brothers in Nebraska, with 40,000 pigs, say they are busting at the seams. With nowhere to send their stock and more being born every day, some of their pigs may have to be put down.
Can you believe that this is happening in our country?
I can't believe, I would have never thought that ever in the United States, unless there was an act of war, declared on us where we couldn't put people in the packing plants, that we would ever have an issue like this.
Any other time of the year, as we look at the drone flying over the stockyards, it would be full. But this morning, there is beef, pork, and chicken not making its way to grocery stores. Now, the packers do have some in cold storage in their freezers that they say they will eventually make its way out to grocery stores. But there is a livestock report that says that likely will not last very long. Meantime, the Beef, Chicken, and Pork Producers and the Food Industry Association wants to emphasize that at this moment, there is not a shortage, and they're encouraging people to recognize panic buying will only cause problems for everybody. Hoda?
All right.
All right, Carrie, thank you so much. And now to how other countries are dealing with the pandemic. After weeks of lockdown, there are some encouraging signs from overseas, but caution still remains. Today's senior international correspondent Keir Simmons is in London for us. Keir, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. In Australia and New Zealand, better weather than we're having here in the UK, and better news. Get this, they think in those two countries that they have come close to eradicating the coronavirus. And in Australia, 2.5 million people downloading an app, we've talked about it on the show before, that will let you know if you've come close to someone who's been infected.
This morning, Australia's world-famous Bondi Beach is back after a 5-week shutdown. Surfing and swimming is allowed again. Australia's lockdown limiting cases of coronavirus, and large numbers of Aussies are now downloading a tracking app to trace new infections. The ocean open again in New Zealand too. The virus there no longer spreading unseen. Just a few new cases a day. Still, the Prime Minister urging caution.
We have won that battle, but we must remain vigilant if we're to keep it that way.
Around the world, 3 million infections and many different challenges. Germany opening up, but its people must wear face masks. Frustration in France has led to riots. But with case numbers fluctuating there, the lockdown will not lift until mid-May.
How's the cleaning going, guys?
The Lippert family, originally from Boston, now live in Paris, filming a video diary. Even when it's over, they say, things are unlikely to return to normal.
And what's Paris like when it's not what it was before? I mean, the cafes of Paris, the museums, the energy.
Repair work on the fire-damaged Notre Dame Cathedral slowly restarting. Tourism will not be back soon. The UK's Prime Minister speaking publicly for the first time since he was hospitalised.
If this virus were a physical assailant, then this is the moment when we have begun together to wrestle it to the floor.
But in many places, from South America to Asia, restrictions are increasing. Japan imposing new flight bans, while in China, these children make hats to help them stay 6 feet apart. Few details of our daily life, or even our children's lives, left unchanged after the coronavirus.
Meanwhile, news of a vaccination that's been created by Oxford University here in the UK. In Montana, it's been tested on monkeys, Hoda. And what they found after 4 weeks, those monkeys exposed to coronavirus did not get sick. A little glimmer of hope there, Hoda.
Yeah, some promising news there, Keir. Thank you so much. Now to some other good news. An ICU nurse from Rhode Island. She's back home this morning after volunteering for 3 weeks at a hospital here in New York. Taylor Campbell worked exhausting shifts, sometimes wearing the same mask for 5 days in a row. So when she got home, her family gave her a hero's welcome. Take a look.
Well, what? It's a good thing we didn't.
Yep, there they are. The Campbell's from a family of police officers, so there's service in her family. And now her service has saved lives in New York. So a nice welcome home for her, right, Savannah?
Oh, that one got me this morning, Hoda. That's so sweet. Hello, it's that time in the morning to go to Sweet Al Roker. Hi, Al. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing pretty good, Savannah, but we've got some friends who are going to be dealing with some severe weather. Let's get to it, show you what we're looking at. And we are expecting severe weather today for 42 million people, damaging wind gusts, hail. In fact, damage from wind-driven hail may cause problems, and tornadoes likely. We start with this afternoon into this evening. 1,100 miles this line is going to stretch all the way from Michigan back into Texas. Severe storms for Dallas. 5 to 7 a.m. The squall line moves through Houston early tomorrow morning. And this thing is on the move by Wednesday. Strong storms stretching from Florida all the way back into the Midwest. Gusty storms for the southeast. Thursday, Atlantic moisture fuels this cold front. Look for a flood risk into the northeast with heavy rain Thursday evening into Friday morning. Rainfall amounts anywhere from 2 to 4 inches from the Gulf to Chicago, and then again mid-Atlantic into the northeast.